Hey everyone, I'm Pacific the Casual Gamer, and welcome back to another video. Before I get this video started, I just want to say that I'm streaming now. You can check the links in the description for my stream channel. I'm pretty sporadic right now, so I'll post in the community tabs when I'm streaming. But to the video. So, if you read the title, yeah, I think solo queuing is underrated, and that's my stance. I think solo queuing in Rainbow Six Siege is not only underrated, but I think it's highly underrated, and that's because of the skills you gain from solo queuing. Now, I would say you definitely need to play more with a 5-stack than with a solo queue because you need to learn how to coordinate with a team. And I think that a team of 5 coordinated who are not that skilled versus a team of very skilled people but uncoordinated solo queuers, I think the 5-stack's going to win just because of the amount of operator synergies you can pull off. And with more coordination, you can really get some easy kills and then map control and all that. And you kind of know where everything is and what's going on at all times. So, what is the benefit of solo queuing? A lot of people talk about the negatives I see, like lack of communication and no synergies and toxic people. You know, we all know about the bad things about solo queuing. Those are absolutely right. But I want to talk about the good things. And the very first good thing is you learn how to play Siege without intel. It's a different game, solo queuing. You learn, especially in the lower ranks, you learn how to play Siege without people giving you callouts, without people getting on cams, without the red pings from cameras. You learn how to play Siege with that. And that's an important skill to have because if you're against a good enemy team, they will be taking out cams anyways. And you need to know how to play without cams. I think that's an underrated skill in Siege. You know, Siege is an intel game, that's true. But there's plenty of situations where you're going to have to deal with stuff blind, both on attack and on defense. And I think that if you solo queue, you get used to dealing with those situations. So if you're in a 1v4 and your 5-stack's all dead and all the cams are out, you have a better chance of surviving. Okay. The other thing that you get good at, just because of the nature of solo queuing and the lack of coordination, is you get involved in more gunfights, right? If I'm sitting on cams in solo queue, I have to ping people, which reminds people to shoot cams. So already I'm getting cam shot out faster than normal. And I know no one's watching my back most of the time. So I have to be really conscious of when I'm on cams. I know I have to act like I'm on cams and I'm the only one alive. And so you get used to kind of getting into more gunfights and, you know, not a lot of people having your back. So you have to deal with fighting, again, going back to the 1v4s. You have to deal with more gunfights. And I mean, it sucks. You know, it's not fun to play Montang and have to deal with more gunfights, but it's the truth. Solo queuing. Another thing about solo queuing is, unless you're with a really highly professional team that, or just like a chill team that, you know, you can have a day where you don't try callouts. Most of the time it's expected of you to do callouts. Is you can just focus on aim or mechanics or experimenting and placing things, you know, in solo queue. You can see what's going to happen by default, right? Experimenting with Goyo shield positions is something that I do a lot in solo queue. And sometimes it gets people killed. You know, I do it in a 5-stack too, but in a solo queue, if I'm solo queuing, I try to experiment every round, or I try to focus on mechanical skill. I don't focus on callouts because, you know, it's not going to get used. And, you know, if I need to learn callouts, I will. But I generally like to focus on aim and being a little bit more of an Ash main. I think, look, the Ash main playstyle we all hate, but in ranked solo queue, 5 Ash mains is very deadly if you're an uncoordinated team trying to go for a traditional Rainbow Six Siege style of play, right? We all know that, where we have this grand old strategy and someone runs in and gets 2 kills and it all falls apart, right? That's a good way to play ranked. I mean, that's how you win ranked, right? And you can work on that in ranked by yourself because you're not really sacrificing anything. Yes, you might sacrifice stuff for the other players, but if you play without a 5-stack in ranked, you know what you sign up for. Also, this is something a little bit more underrated, is because you can mute everyone in ranked and unranked and anything, you can also work on listening to sounds, right? Something that, you know, those toxic ranked players don't understand is that when they're micromanaging you and telling you you suck, you can't hear what's going on. So you have an excuse to mute them, and then you can just sound whore and listen to the game and learn what different footsteps sound like. We've all gotten confused by sound before, and maybe because you're playing with a 5-stack all the time and you're always giving callouts, you can't focus on the sounds of the game, and you need to learn them. And solo queue is a great environment for that. Another thing that kind of goes into solo queue and experimenting with gadgets is because you're a little bit more uncoordinated. I feel like a lot of the times, Thermite opens up more walls than usual. Hibana opens up more walls than usual. And you get experience in a sort of a genuine environment. I mean, you're not with your 5-stack, but you get that real world experience of dealing with a breach in the wall, dealing with a hatch open, right? Dealing with, okay, the guy upstairs died and Buck is now shooting the ceiling, right? You get to deal with that more, right? If you're in a 5-stack, you work on different things. You work on, coordinating, like you got 2 roamers and you're flanking people, or your strategy is turtling up, your macro strategy. The micro things of like dealing with breaches, dealing with EMPs going off, dealing with loss of the floor above you control. You get to deal with that more in solo queue, and you get to learn how to handle it. It's very stressful knowing that someone's above you and could shoot out the ceiling around you, and being exposed to that more, you're going to get used to it. I used to be a very nervous player, right? We all know those people that as soon as they get into a 1v1 or 1v2, 3, 4, they just freak out, right? I think playing a lot of solo queue has allowed me to be more calm when I'm in those situations. Understand where I can get shot from, where I can't get shot from. Even when the walls are breached, I can understand if I'm safe or not, right? A great example of this is on a cafe at the top floor. There's certain walls that I know if they're reinforced, I can hide in certain corners and not get shot at, right? It's from that experience of walls being opened and windows and people flying in, and by teams not being coordinated so that enemies let in. The last thing that is going to suck to say, but it's a very important thing to me, is you learn to deal with Ashe mains. You learn to deal with hyper-aggressive players, right? Like I said before, we all have that grandiose strategy, and it all gets ruined by one player who can pick up 2 frags. And the simple truth is, Siege is very much reliant on kills as well as utility. I think a lot of us get stuck in that trap of, well, if I just bring Mute, everything's going to be okay because I can deny walls. Or if I just bring Rook, or if I just bring Castle, everything's going to be fine. The answer is no. You have those gun skills that you have to deal with. And in a coordinated 5-stack, unless they're messing around, a lot of the times you have a normal entry fragger. You don't have a fragger that just goes in for the frags. You have a Zofia kind of clearing stuff out, or an Ashe kind of clearing stuff out. You don't have that Ashe that instead of shooting the Goyo shield, she jumps over the Goyo shield and comes in and starts killing you, right? But you get to deal with that. You get to get exposed to that. And you get to learn how to kill those people. And with that, you're going to get better at dealing with fast fraggers, right? Even in Pro League. Okay, if you watch Pro League, there are still people that are fast fraggers. And playing solo queue, you get to fight more of those people. And it's going to make your gun skill go up. And then you don't have to worry about whether or not you can kill someone. And you're playing with your 5-stack. You get the call out that Ashe is running up the stairs. And you start freaking out because you can't fight an Ashe main. No, you have the skills to deal with that Ashe main. And you deal with it. And people ask you why. And you say, well, I don't know, luck. Or something like that. That's usually what I say. So that is why, that's kind of the things you learn from solo queue. Why I think solo queue is underrated is because you get exposed to those shitty situations that don't feel like Rainbow Six Siege, but you get to learn how to deal with them because they will pop up when you're playing Rainbow Six Siege. They just will. And the simple fact is, if it's in the game, it's fair. Right? I think a lot of people forget that in Siege, a Ashe, IQ, Hibana, Capiteo rush, I don't even know if there's another 3-speed on attack at the moment, a rush like that, and Maverick, is viable, I think, right? If you're busy trying to be like, oh, what's going to go through the doors, and they just like sprint in and gun you down, it feels like they're cheating But in reality, you failed that gunfight, right? If an IQ rushes you and you expect her to be under the floor shooting stuff, and instead she gets a pick on you and you die, you failed. You died. That's what it came down to, and you didn't have the skills to deal with it. So that's my opinion on it, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Do you feel like you just want to die after playing solo queue? I know I do. So, I'm Pacific the Casual Gamer. I suck just as bad as you at video games, and I will see you guys in the next one.